A passion for history, a search for ties to the Philippines, and a centuries-old map commissioned under the gaze of a French king. The guest recalls finding it at a paper and print show in New York 15 years ago, paying under $300 for the intriguing piece.
I was at a paper and print show in New York about 15 years ago. I've always collected historical documents or anything on the Philippines. I'm a Filipino. I saw the Philippines on this map, so I was immediately interested.
Presented is a map published in 1664 by Pierre Duval, a renowned French cartographer and appointed geographer to the Sun King, Louis XIV.
It was the Sun King,
Louis
Louis
XIV.
XIV. Yes, and so he was interested in geography and history, and he employed Mr. Duval as his map maker. So he puts that on the map to look more of an authority. He says, geographer to the King of France, with privilege.
Duval's title, proudly displayed on the map, signaled royal authority even though his work relied on sailors' logs and earlier maps rather than first-hand surveys. The Philippines, rendered larger and more elongated than reality, reflects the cartographic limitations and imaginative interpretations of the era. At the time, such maps were as much political and cultural statements as they were tools for navigation. The craftsmanship, bold typography, and period coloring enhance its historical and decorative appeal. Today, it stands as both a cartographic artifact and a tangible connection to 17th-century exploration and empire.
So it's accurate for the time, but there is quite a bit of distortion, like you pointed out. In the Philippines, they're stretched out and larger than they are.
In the current retail market, this Pierre Duval map would be valued at about
Right now, retail value for the map would be about $1,500.
Thank you so much.
a dusty shop in Rome, a folded relic, and a bargain that would make any collector's heart race. The guest recalls finding it 2 decades ago, hidden atop a stack of worn posters in a dim little store.
My husband and I were in Rome, and we went into a small shop that sold movie posters, and this was folded up on the top of a stack, and it was in very bad condition. And the guy said, "You probably don't want to buy it because it's in such bad condition." And when we saw what the subject was, we said, "Oh yeah, we do want to buy it." So he said, "Well, we can let you have it for $30. So we thought that was a pretty good deal, so we bought it, and we've had it ever since.
Unfurled is an Italian one-panel movie poster for King Kong, a cinematic titan whose imagery still roars with power. Far from the American originals, this piece hails from Italy's golden era of stone lithography, a craft renowned for vivid color and striking detail.
An Italian one panel. Usually in the movie poster world, people want, just like with first edition books, they want the original country of issue. So traditionally you would think that the US would be the most desirable, but with King Kong, they're all desirable because the graphics are so amazing and they did amazing stone lithography in Italy.
The artist's name, Olivetti, graces the upper corner, marking it as the work of a respected graphic designer of his time. Though the edges bear the wear of years, its imperfections only add to the authenticity of its journey. Collectors often prize the country of origin. Yet with King Kong, every version from any shore is coveted for its iconic imagery. The sweeping design captures the raw energy of the beast, a visual spectacle that transcends language and borders. Its large format commands attention, making it as much a statement piece as a collector's gem. Posters of this kind appear on the market only occasionally, a rarity that fuels competition among enthusiasts. Securing it for $30 was a triumph. But in the current market, it's a whole different story. In a retail environment, this Italian King Kong one panel would command a value around
Always sells for around $6,000.
Great. That's good to know.
a hesitant purchase, a centuries-old treasure, and a value fit for royalty. The guest recounts a call from a fellow collector offering dolls, a category she rarely chased until she saw this one.
I'm very curious what you can tell me about them.
Where did you find them?
In the thumb of Michigan, up by Lexington or Sandusky area. I've been collecting since I was a child, and I buy and I trade and I love stuff. And a woman called me and asked me if I wanted to buy some dolls, and I said, no, I don't care so much about dolls. She said they're very, very old, maybe you could look at them. And when she came in, I really just wanted this one. But I ended up with both of them. I understand she inherited them and she didn't know anything about them.
revealed as an early English wooden doll from the Queen Anne period, dating back to the early 18th century. Crafted entirely of wood, save for cloth upper arms, she bears the telltale black pupilless eyes of her era, framed by delicately dotted brows.
Or children of royalty in particular. She is wood and painted, so it's fairly common to see crazing and pieces of paint that will flake off.
Her painted surface shows gentle crazing. And while time has claimed flakes of pigment, it only affirms her authenticity. She wears a silk garment whose metallic weighting has caused it to melt and shred, a rare survivor of period clothing.
Her clothing is melting. Melting happens when you have a silk fabric and it's weighted with metals, and it causes shredding such as you see here. It wouldn't be very often that you would find a doll of this period with original clothes. It could be, but it would take more research in order to tell that.
The doll's wig, made of human hair, may be original or a careful replacement, as flax wigs were also common at the time. Such dolls were once owned only by wealthy families or royal children, never intended for the hands of the common public. Few examples have endured outside museum collections, making this survivor an extraordinary find. Despite her age and fragility, she remains in remarkably good condition for a piece over 300 years old. She stands as both a plaything and a relic, bridging childhood innocence and aristocratic history. In a retail environment, this Queen Anne wooden doll would command a value between
Range of $15,000 to $20,000.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my.
a coffin on ice, a wedding dress without seams, and Olympic medals that carry the weight of history. Our guest, Nancy Kerrigan, displays her amazing figure skating memorabilia, shining some light in her illustrious career. The first item in this collection is the iconic torch from the 1996 Summer Olympics designed by Malcolm Greer.
The Summer Olympics, which is the first time I was a part of the Summer Games in any way. I was part of the marathon route here in Boston, and I remember it getting a little heavy as you're running, like, and holding something, and then it gets lower, and then the fire's near my ponytail swinging around. I was a little, like, trying to run like this. It was a little bit of a challenge and a little intimidating.
Its design is an actual representation of the previous Olympic Games, consisting of 22 aluminium reeds held together by a gold band.
Cool.
So there's 22 names around that gold band.
Right.
That's gold-plated, of course. The handle there is Georgia hardwood for the Atlanta Games.
Wow.
So it's a great torch, and people really, really love them.
This iconic piece will be highly sought after by collectors who would value it at an estimated.
Yeah, and if I were going to insure it, I'd insure it for $10,000.
The guest recalls donning a replica of Michael Jackson's Thriller jacket for the debut of Halloween on Ice, complete with pallbearers and a dramatic coffin reveal.
I had pallbearers carry me out onto the ice in a coffin, and I laid there for 10 minutes before the music started creepy and that creak of sound of the coffin opening up, and then I came out and did a whole production number. It was so much fun. It was the start of Halloween on Ice, which I've done for over 20 years now.
Though time has softened its edges, the jacket remains a crowd-pleasing piece of skating memorabilia. In a retail environment, this performance costume would be valued between.
And if I were to insure it, I'd insure it for about $1,000.
Next emerges the Vera Wang wedding dress, worn at the 1992 Albertville Olympics, a gown that graced the cover of Life magazine and redefined couture in figure skating.
It's a Vera Wang. Vera Wang actually was a skater herself, and she skated in Lake Placid with my coaches, and so Mary Scottvold, one of my coaches, called her and said, "Hey, would you mind doing a dress for a skater?" And so she did. This was a challenge for me. It's beautiful and it fit really nice, but it didn't stretch enough, so I never got that triple Lutz in the competition wearing it. So that was a little frustrating, but it got so much attention. It was on the cover of Life magazine at the year end, which was pretty cool because Kristi Yamaguchi won the Olympics. I was third, so I think I was on the cover because of the dress.
Its seam-free shoulders and elegant silhouette made it a sensation both on and off the ice. As a fusion of sports memorabilia and fashion history, this gown commands an auction estimate of.
If I were to insure it, I wouldn't insure it for anything less than $50,000.
The collection's crown jewels are the guests' own Olympic medals bronze from Albertville in 1992, featuring a Lalique Crystal Center, and silver from Lillehammer in 1994.
From what I understand is Lalique Crystal, which is from France, and this is from 1994 in Lillehammer, Norway. It was just an amazing thing to be able to represent the U.S. at the Olympics. I feel very, very grateful.
Well, and I think America was very grateful to you as well. And obviously your story's incredible. And here's a tangible thing that kind of tells your story.
The bronze medal, tied forever to the story of the gown and its wearer, would bring...
Wow.
I would insure it for $50,000.
The silver medal, won under the glare of global attention, is estimated at...
And I would insure it for at least 80.
Wow.
Yeah. All these things are really, they're powerful pieces. And I know that when people are watching this now, they're like, wow, I remember that, you know?
A backroad garage sale, a $2 impulse buy, and a connection to one of America's great Impressionist movements. The guest remembers spotting the oil painting in rural Michigan, drawn to its warmth and character long before knowing its story.
Can you tell me a little bit about how you came by it?
We were in the upper part of Michigan, outside of West Branch, Michigan, and we stopped at a garage sale and picked it up for $2. It just struck us as a very nice oil painting.
I think you've got a good eye.
Unveiled is Bill's Place, by Kenneth Nunemaker, a painter linked to the Pennsylvania Impressionist School, also known as the New Hope School. Born in Ohio and largely self-taught, Nunemaker moved to Bucks County in the early 1920s, where he absorbed the influence of Edward Redfield. His work, marked by vigorous brushstrokes, was often painted en plein air, capturing light and landscape directly from life.
He is indeed one of those. One of his great mentors was Edward Redfield, and Redfield was one of the leaders of the Pennsylvania Impressionist School, together with Daniel Garber. And I think of all the Impressionists, Nunemaker was perhaps influenced by Redfield more than any of the others. And you can see it in his very vigorous brushwork. He would paint en plein air, i.e. he would go outside to paint. So what you see here, he would have been sitting in front of this with his little canvas board.
The reverse bears his New Hope, Pennsylvania stamp and the title in pencil, alongside a $75 price once set by the artist himself.
And then Center Bridge, where he lived. And then here we see written Bill's Place, which is the title of the painting. And that looks to be $75?
Looks to be $75.
$75. So that's presumably what he was selling it for at that time.
Nunemaker's paintings appear less often than those of his peers, sparking competition among collectors when they surface. This piece reflects both the technical energy of his mentor and the distinct atmosphere of his own style. It is a work of quiet confidence, preserving the immediacy of the moment it was created. For the buyer, it began as a small treasure. For the art world, it stands as a rare and desirable find. A postcard might have cost $2, but this, it turns out, is something else entirely. In a retail environment, this Kenneth Nunemaker oil would command between...
Probably to fetch in the 6,000 to 10,000 range at auction.
6 to 10,000?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Never would I have thought that.
A sermon in a small Michigan church, a disputed quotation, and a letter from one of history's greatest minds. The guest recounts how her father, a Presbyterian minister in Harbor Springs, quoted Albert Einstein in 1940, citing the Christian church as the only institution standing up to Nazism.
I have a letter that Albert Einstein wrote to my father in 1943. In 1940, my father read a Time magazine article that stated that Einstein was quoted as saying that the only social institution that stood up to Nazism was the Christian church. My father's a Presbyterian minister in a little northern Michigan town called Harbor Springs. And he quoted Einstein in a sermon. And a member of the congregation wrote my father a letter saying, "Where did you get your information?" So my father wrote Time magazine, and Time magazine wrote him back, and I have that letter too, but they didn't give the source. So my father wrote Einstein, and he wrote back saying, yes, he did say that the Christian church was standing up to Hitler and Nazism.
When a parishioner questioned his source, he contacted Time magazine, then wrote directly to Einstein himself. The reply, dated 1943, confirmed the sentiment, though noting it was first expressed in the early years of the Nazi regime in milder terms. What makes this piece remarkable is not only Einstein's signature, but the meticulous preservation of every supporting document, the parishioner's query, Time's cautious response, and the minister's own written account of the exchange.
So the first letter I have in this stack is the letter from the parishioner who says, where'd that quote come from? And then the second letter is the letter from Time magazine. They're kind of hedging their bets. I love that they can't really confirm it, but they won't deny it, but they're like, yeah, he said it. And then the third thing, even though he kept all of this original primary support material, your dad took the time to write a 3 or 4 paragraph essay in which he explains the story behind the Albert Einstein letter.
Together, these papers form a complete historical narrative, transforming a simple letter into a documented moment of moral conviction. Typed on standard paper with Einstein's blind-stamped address, the letter bears his autograph in bold ink.
True that I made a statement which corresponds approximately with the text you quoted. I made this statement during the first years of the Nazi regime, much earlier than 1940, and my expressions were a little more moderate.
Ordinarily, a typed Einstein letter from this era might fetch around $1,500 at auction. But with this provenance and context, its significance and desirability rise dramatically. It stands as a testament not only to a towering intellect, but to the importance of preserving a story alongside an artifact. A 2-page sermon once sparked a transatlantic correspondence, one whose value endures to this day. In a retail environment, this Albert Einstein letter and its archive would command around
a $1,500 letter becomes a $5,000 letter. Wow.